And a happy Wednesday evening to you all. Welcome to another edition of Trackside Live. Tyler Kuehl and Nate Dreyer, two of your broadcasters for all the action at Berlin Raceway on Flow Racing here tonight on Facebook Live. And for the first time ever, a fresh YouTube probably viewer here we have here, Nate. We finally have found a way to get Trackside Live onto YouTube. So if you're watching this on demand, thank you, because Nate did the hard work of making sure these get on there so you can watch them anytime and probably a little easier to get to them.
Yeah, no, that's great, obviously, and there's some things changing with Facebook where we never know with Facebook, but there's a chance that these might be going away at some point in time after they're archived for so long, and it's way easier to just go to YouTube, fire it up on your TV, and watch the archive broadcast there. So find it's the same Berlin YouTube Facebook page that race recaps used to be posted on a few years ago. So it's the same thing. These shows, the first three are already backloaded on there. This will be up by tomorrow morning, hopefully, based on how fast my internet is.
Depending on how fast Nate is, we know how slow he can be sometimes.
Absolutely. So based on that, they'll be up. So that'll be cool. And, of course, that's a great way you can watch back tonight, because tonight's a can't-miss show, getting ready for the 500 Sprint Car Tour, and we have maybe the greatest open-wheel USAC driver of all time, Kody Swanson. Will be calling an 8-time SIlver Corwn champion. He's won the 500 Tour twice. He'll be on in just a few minutes here. We'll be talking to Kody to get everything for this weekend set.
Yeah, we have a lot of great action coming up. We just came off our huge Great Lakes Classic, the 4th annual GLC racing here at Berlin Raceway with Super Modifieds really tearing up the track. It was a fun weekend. We'll get to a little bit of that later on too. But this coming weekend, this coming Saturday night, the 500 Tour, as Nate just mentioned, supported by the Kenyon Midget Series once again. Another nice little development class coming up here for their one and only visit this year at Berlin Raceway. Also, we'll have the model coverall limited late models in action. That championship race really took a bit of a strange turn this past weekend. We'll touch on that later on as well as the Good Humor mini wedges. So lots of great action. That'll all start up at 6:30. The green flag will drop. We'll be going live, or scheduled to go live on Flow Racing at 6 o'clock. Throw out the question of the day right now for all of you that are watching here on Facebook Live. The question of, what was the first racetrack you ever attended? We'll give our answers a little bit later on. You can throw them yourselves if you're watching on Facebook Live. Throw them in the comments, and we'll give you all shout-outs. And even better, if you have questions for us, probably not us, because let's be honest, but if you have a question for Kody Swanson, or if you want to know anything else, please feel free to throw them in the Facebook Live chat as well. Before we get to Kody, he'll be showing up here in just a few minutes on the phone, at least. I should say showing up. No. I mean, as fast as he can drive, he might be able to get up here in time. But let's kind of look back at the Super Mods here, Nate. That was a fun, exciting weekend. We're always great to have the ISMA Super Modifieds and the MSS Super Mods come out. Man, I want to look at the Kyle Edwards race, but that Mike McVetta run on Saturday night, I have been here at Berlin. I've seen guys dominate for many years. I saw how Josh Fry beat up the competition, how Dave Lake used to in certain series, and how good some cars were in certain series. I have never seen a guy win by 14 and a half seconds. That's what Mike McVetta did, who won the second race and was also a fast qualifier both nights. I've never seen a beatdown at this track like that before.
And not just a beatdown by that amount. He did that in the last 20 laps of the race.
Yeah,
because we had the caution with 20 laps to go. And then that was after he had come from the mid part of the field. And we talked to the guys before the race, pretty much everyone on up and down the grid, Ryan and I, and we heard from everyone how difficult it is to move through traffic. He easily did that. And then in 20 laps, put the field 3/4 of a lap down.
If the race had been 77 laps or 78 laps, had we been celebrating some other weird anniversary, he honestly would have lapped the entire field. He would have that car was fast. And Mike McVetta, I joke about it, he works for NASA, but look at the way he can qualify in a wing sprint car, the way he qualifies with his super modified. He's always fast whenever he comes here. So to see him really lay the smack into the rest of the field. And the thing is, too, look at all the drivers he had to beat. He beat Kyle Edwards, who was great. He beat Mike Ordway, who I know had some issues, but still, the way he was able to move through the field with relative ease, and I know some people were saying, it's because there was only so many cars after a tough Friday night. We had more cars take the feature on Saturday than we did Friday, and he had to go around them, and a few of them went around a few times. So that was, maybe some older folks can remember maybe some great runs by Bob Seneca and the Outlaws back in the day, but I don't think, at least in an open wheel car, it's rare that you see someone win by that much.
I want to give a shout out with that as well to the runners-up, Jeff Abold and the Abold family team, because they drove essentially through the night.
Yeah.
They're from New York. They went through Canada, stopped overnight just in Michigan at like 1, 2 in the morning, packed it up in the morning, came in, essentially drove completely through the night, 15, 16, however many hours it was to get here. They unload. They're they're pretty bad to
Yeah,
start.
in practice,
They
yep.
find some speed in qualifying. They win the heat, and then Jeff had the pace to win that race if it weren't for he spins with Mike going by in the end. And would have he been able to hold McVedev behind him for 20 laps? Probably not. But
Yeah.
then, so he spins to the back half of the top 10, and then he drives his way all the way inside the top 5 onto the podium. Like,
Yeah.
that was a heck of a drive by that team, first time they've been here.
That was because we always talk to, like, whenever we have guys for Battle at Berlin, super late model races, super late model events, people have never been here before. Tyler Lupton, of course, you say, I'm like, man, it's so impressive to see a first timer do it. Supermods is just a different animal entirely. Like a stock car or template car, if you kind of have the base of your car, you kind of know what to do. Berlin with an open wheel can be, and we're going to talk to Kody Swanson about this in just a few minutes. It can be tough to race for a first time at that speed and know how to take the corners. Abel was doing it so well. Yeah, had he not got caught up in lap traffic, how long would it have taken Mike to get him? I think we might have seen a better battle. I don't think McVedev wins by 14 and a half seconds, but no, that was such a fun weekend. So congrats to Kyle Edwards winning for the third time at Berlin Raceway, third time in the Great Lakes Classic, and of course Mike McVedev for his second year in a row winning the Saturday race. So those were two good races, and I love the fact that this is kind of it's slowly turned into a bit of an open wheel month, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Super Modifieds last weekend. We got the 500 Sprint Car Tour and Kenya Midgets, and then right before the Battle at Berlin, the Saturday before, the Must See Racing Sprints return for their second and final time this season, Nate. So lots of great speed coming to this track, along with our local series here. So if you love speed, you love good action, this is certainly the month to come out.
It is. Then, and the 500 Sprint Car Tour this weekend is, in terms of big names in open wheel racing and this style of racing, it's a really cool series that's been created. Create a good place to put these non-winged open wheel cars on some of the great pavement tracks. They're at Salem, got rained out last week. They run Winchester and all of these other great tracks. Of course, Anderson and the Little 500. I think it is a great series to be able to see that great competition. Guys like, of course, Kody Swanson, Bobby Santos that we've seen, Dakota Armstrong, Taylor Ferns, all a part of this group. It is a really, really fun, and it's a great competitive series to watch. And a lot of times, frankly, these non-wing cars race wheel-to-wheel a little bit better than some of the wing cars for as fast as they are.
Yeah, you can get a little bit tighter, and we'll ask Kody about that as well, because from what we see up in the booth and down on pit road, you're able to – it doesn't feel like you're not as quick and snappy as a wing sprint car would be. They're still fast, obviously, but they're not. You have a little bit more. I'd say, from my perspective, they have a little bit more control.
Yeah.
I'll let Kody Swanson tell me whether I'm wrong about that. Of course, Kody Swanson. We'll talk to him about it. He's raced template cars. He's raced supermods. He's raced wing sprints. He's done that already this year, and non-wing sprints. And he's been great in all of them. But I think the big question, we'll ask him about this too: can anyone stop Tyler Roark from winning another race in the 500 Sprint Car Tour? Since the series started in 2022, he's won all 5 races here.
Wow.
That's pretty good. So we'll take a quick pause. We'll get Kody on the horn, and we'll talk to him about what he expects this weekend, what are some of his favorite cars, and where was his first track that he ever went to coming out of California. We'll come back with more here on Trackside Live on Facebook Live. And welcome back, everyone, to Trackside Live here at Berlin Raceway. Tyler Kuehl alongside Nate Dreyer. We talked about it off the top, the 500 Sprint Car Tour coming to Berlin Raceway for the one and only time this season, this coming Saturday night. And one of the heavy hitters that we're going to see is a driver out of California, a guy that has won this series twice in his career and is one of the best USAC drivers ever. It is Kody Swanson. Kody, how you doing today, sir?
Hey, doing well, fellas. Thanks for having me on the show.
I got to ask, Kody, you're able to be generous with your time here because you're actually at, speaking of USAC, at a USAC social event. What you got going on right now?
Yeah. They we're doing a social ice cream social here tonight at the USAC office. Benefit for Race Aid, which is the rebrand of the old benevolent foundation that helps injured racers and drivers and things like that. So always try to support those events and really for a great cause and a great opportunity to come out and meet some folks in the area that want to come out and see us in street clothes. Always good to have a little more time to visit. We're not busy on race day.
Yeah, that's awesome. And once again, like we said, thanks for coming out, and thanks for coming on. And this weekend, you're coming out to Berlin with the 500 Sprint Car Tour. Let's kind of set it up from the 1,000-foot view. We asked this similar to everyone that comes in different kinds of race cars, but these especially. You've been here in a ton of different race cars. These open or these non-winged sprint cars, when you come here with the 500 Sprint Car Tour, what is the challenge of trying to drive one of these at a technical racetrack, especially like the half mile at Berlin?
Yeah, man, it is a challenge there, and Berlin's such a unique racetrack, and for sprint cars, something we face a little bit everywhere is we've got more horsepower than grip, and it's no different when we come to Berlin there, and the track is such a unique shape, trying to figure out, where you need which end of your car stuck more than another, to basically to get the handle right so you can race well, so you can race in all the lanes and work through traffic. But it is a challenge, but it's a fun challenge. It's one that Tyler Rohrig certainly has had figured out, and leaves the rest of us chasing them, but hopeful that we can come up and put up a good fight this weekend.
Well, we'll mention Tyler Rohrig here in just a little bit, but I do want to, because I mentioned it before we went to break, Kody, you have raced just about everything here at Berlin Raceway. You've raced template late models, you've done super mods, you've done wing sprints, and obviously non-wing sprints here. Kind of a two-part question for you, Kody. What is the most fun car to drive here at Berlin Raceway that you've experienced, and what is maybe the worst or maybe most frightening to try to pull around this track?
Yeah, I mean they're all so unique, and each division has different challenges, right? Obviously the late model is probably the most tame, but it is heavy and it's tricky to get it handling right, and super modified is such a wild race car anyway. It was one that was cool to get a chance to run for AJ Lasecki, and a division that I got to watch my dad, race in when I was growing up that, I admired so much. They're just so different than everything else I normally do that one's probably the least comfortable for me there. The wing sprint cars are obviously super fast, and fortunate to go quick time there earlier this year before we had mechanical trouble and couldn't race to the 50M. But those guys always have a great car. Just sometimes weird things happen, but even then, for the speed, I think I'm so much more used to the sprint car that it felt normal sitting in it and a little bit more comfortable. And then the non-wing is just a challenge, like I said, because the speed is there, but the grip necessarily isn't. So it's hard to feel like you accelerate really hard, but you get to the other end of the straightaway and boy, you're looking at turn 3 and you're going really fast when you get there. So, pretty unique for each of them and fun to be able to try to figure them out. Had some great opportunities to race with some great people and, like I said, try a few different cars there at Berlin.
Yeah, you mentioned your comfort in one of these cars, like what the 500 Sprint Car Tour runs. Describe a little bit this series and the difficulty in terms of the competition. There's, of course, a lot of big names. Also, just a ton of very different racetracks. You guys were at Salem last week in a race that was rained out. Now a 180 here to Berlin. Describe the challenge with the 500 Tour in terms of, one, the competition you have to go up against, and then also the vast variety of racetracks.
Yeah, the 500 Sprint Car Tour has been really neat in for both those reasons, right? Kind of born out of the little 500 there at Anderson. Started before it was officially a tour, right? We ran some Thursday nights at Anderson to try to give guys a chance to run some more sprint car shows during the year. In anticipation of building for the little 500, and the tour has been great because because it gets us to different racetracks. And with the addition of Salem last year, and obviously back on the schedule this year, and Winchester too, those end up being the high bank, high speed ones. We ran some smaller ones, like Anderson, but to come to Berlin is a good opportunity. I know we come to Michigan to run Kalamazoo last year. We'll be back there again, first time to Owasso. It makes it a fun challenge to try to get your car acting right at some different places, because what they need is different, right? What makes you good there at Berlin may not make you the best at Salem or at Anderson, but it's fun to try to figure it out and know that you got to change your car, get it to do different things to be good at all the places. And while you're racing against the racetrack, right, you're also trying to figure it out against some really great competitors. The sprint cars have had a lot of great competitors over the years, and like I said, through the little 500, but I feel like with the tour, it has really just helped elevate all the competitors we do have. Everybody just gets better every year. The more different tracks we go to, the more that the entire field seems to step up, just get better at knowing their car, knowing what it needs as they get in different situations. And you go back a second or third time, or in the following year, and everybody just gets better. So it makes it tough to race, but that's the beauty of it. The challenge of it is is trying to run in the top few. You've gone up against some good competition and earned it, and it makes it worthwhile.
You mentioned the Little 500 there, Kody, and that's a race you've won 3 times, by the way. For those that may not understand it, the Little 500 is a big event that happens around Indy 500 time of the year. It's a very prestigious open wheel race. I know that some people might not know that because if you're really not from the Midwest, you don't quite understand. Like, from your perspective, Kody, what would you say the Little 500 means to non-wing sprint cars, and I guess to open wheel racing for those that might not understand it?
Yeah, I mean, when I first moved to the Midwest, I'd say I didn't really understand it because I was running what was the night before the 500 with the USAC National Midgets when they were still running pavement, out at Raceway Park, and so I didn't get to do it for a good few years into my career here in the Midwest. And the first chance I had to do it, it was a huge event, right? And you go and you're part of it, and short track, quarter mile, but high banked with cars all around and people all around too. So the atmosphere was good and was huge. And for open wheel short track sprint car pavement racing, it was the longest running. I think we've run 77 editions of it now. So it's got that history and tradition that makes it prestigious and important. And then same thing, if you're racing for a living, it was one of the biggest races or the biggest race for so long, for pavement sprint cars. It still is for non-wing. And so that makes it important too, right? And that's even before you get to the event itself. I mean, it's such a challenge. 500 laps around a quarter mile, and you include 2 pit stops and all the things that could happen with, like I said, with 33 cars stacked around there. It's to get to the end is a testament of good preparation and a little luck to go with it. And maybe the luckiest with the best car gets a chance to drink the milk at the end of the night. So it's a fun event. And at one point, as pavement sprint cars had kind of slowed down quite a bit, it was the cornerstone that kept the car type alive, I feel like. And so I'm glad that it's been doing well and helped launch what's become a successful tour with the 500 tour here.
And speaking of obviously prestigious open wheel wins, goes without saying, you are the all-time winningest driver in the history of the SIlver Corwn Series, 8 championships as well. We have, maybe a little bit more of a stock car-based audience here at Berlin. Describe the differences between a SIlver Corwn car, some of the based ones, between a SIlver Corwn car and a sprint car, like what the 500 Tour comes in, and the difficulty of trying to bounce back and forth between those two types of vehicles during a season.
Yeah, so I mean the cars themselves, there's a lot of similarities, and just to look at them, they do really look similar till you see one next to each other. The SIlver Corwn car just has a longer wheelbase, bigger fuel cell. The engine package is a little bit different, but the majority, I feel like the difference comes in what you do with them. The SIlver Corwn cars having that extra fuel cell, fuel load, wheelbase allows you to run bigger tracks and longer races. I know there's some that overlap, right? We run the SIlver Corwn cars, same as the 500 Tour at places like Winchester and Salem and even Indianapolis Raceway Park here. But the but each of those Silver Crown races are more than twice as long, and we still get to run place. On the other end of the schedule, we just ran a race at the Worldwide Technology Raceway there at Gateway in St. Louis on a 1.25 miles, right? So what you experience from the cockpit is wildly different from say the 500 tour at Anderson or even at Berlin versus what you feel going 180 plus there there in St. Louis. So the races have definitely have an element of management to them, whether it's your fuel load or your tires or your track position. It's all trade-offs. And I think something that I love about the Silver Crown series is the races are so long, it adds a whole nother element to it. And some of the similarities are a lot of the suspensions, is really the same, and what you want out of your car is really similar of how to get it tacked right and to make speed and to handle well. It's just a matter of being aware of what things you do need to be different to survive a really long run. With some of those race and format changes.
Yeah, and you mentioned the length of the race. I want to get into that in terms of previewing this weekend a little bit as well. A 50-lapper here this weekend at Berlin. So where, in terms of the difference between maybe pushing at 100% the whole time versus trying to conserve tires and so forth, are you going to have? At a 50-lapper on a half-mile like Berlin, is that really, are you pushing 10/10 the whole way, or is that going to be a race where there's some tire saving and some saving going on and trying to plan for that for the end of the race?
I think there's some, of the places we go. Berlin, Berlin's one where your tires will fall off a little bit, right? You're trying to get all the grip you can, and so it's something that's definitely you're aware of. I don't know that the 50 laps is so long like a 100-lapper where you'd say for sure you'd have to give up a little at certain times and be choosy. But you may not be able to run at 110% all 50 laps either, because you wouldn't be there at the end. So I feel like that's an element of how fast and how well you get your car to act and to be balanced. Depends how much of it you need to use to keep up or to contest for the win. And that's what makes some of those longer races fun is one, it does change the car when you've got to run more fuel. Because it'll go through different balance and handling swings, and some folks might have their car set up really well when they're full of fuel early and drive through the field in a big hurry at the beginning, but their car may not be so good as the fuel load burns off, and then you might see others move forward. So it's that's always the fun part about it. Not only for me as a driver, but for me as a race fan too, when I get to watch them go, is not knowing till the end who's got it good setup for the end or the entirety of the race versus who might have been good early and fade late. So it'll be interesting to see. We haven't run 50 laps in a little while there at Berlin. We've been 40 last few years, and Tyler's had has stranglehold on the place, so hopefully extra 10 laps gives us a chance to keep up.
Yeah, that would be something. He's won all 5 events for the 500 Sprint Car Tour at Berlin, also doing pretty well in the Outlaws. You've been super generous with your time here, Kody. One last fun one here for you. It's kind of our question today here on Trackside Live. The first racetrack that you ever went to that you can recall, what was the first track? I know you're out of California, so a lot of great places out there, but what was the first, whether it be oval, road circuit, where have you been to? What was the first place for Kody Swanson?
Yeah, first racetrack for me was Madera Speedway. I grew up as a race fan, right? I was fortunate. My dad raced everything from super modifieds to Grand Americans to late models and champion in each of them, right? So I was spoiled that way of getting to, I know where I sat all those years and getting to watch him go and learn from him during the week. And, never was any intention of me racing at that point, right? I was just a kid enjoying what his dad was doing and a race fan first. I love the sport, love the excitement and the feeling it gives you. So that one's it for me.
That's always fun to hear, like stories of multiple generations, and that's how I got into racing because my dad. I know Nate, your parents kind of got you into racing that way. So it seems like there's not many people that pick it up firsthand. It's always the generations. But we've been chatting up here with Kody Swanson. He's one of the stars of the 500 Sprint Car Tour. He will be at Berlin Raceway Saturday night along with Tyler Rohrig, Dakota Armstrong. We'll mention a few other names later on. But Kody, you've been super generous with your time, sir. Thank you very much for popping on Trackside Live, and we'll see you Saturday night.
Hey, you bet. Thanks, fellas. Thanks for your effort to help support racing, and can't wait to see you there this weekend.
Absolutely. We'll be back with more here on Facebook Live with Trackside Live at Berlin. And welcome back, folks, to Berlin Raceway here on Trackside Live. Once again, huge shout out to Kody Swanson for jumping on with us to talk about the open wheel series that he's ran, including the 500 Sprint Car Tour. If you missed it, folks, on Facebook Live, that's okay. You could also just figure out how to use the rewind thing on the thing below. But also on YouTube, the Berlin Raceway YouTube channel, that's where you'll be able to find the on-demand coming up tomorrow. I got to give a couple shout-outs to people that jumped in the chat while we were interviewing one Kody Swanson. Nolan at, oh my gosh, I hope I'm saying it right. Nolan Abramson says Jeff Striegel is the GOAT of NASCAR announcers. Well, I think if I said that now, Nate, if you say it probably one more time, we'll get bump and pay this week. Jeff Striegel, one of the best race car announcers ever. Former Formula Indy driver here, won a feature here before he got into the broadcasting. And our good friend Red Phillips.
Red.
Hi, Kenny and Mr. Kenny. Unless it's supposed to say hi, Kenny and Mrs. Kenny, because I don't know if he got the apostrophe wrong. Red Phillips is one of our tech guys we have down in the pit road, and he's been giving me heck for as many years and has been giving Nate heck for so many years too. So Red's always one of the fun guys. If you ever go down to pit road, he usually ducks out after the races. But if you see a guy that's scruffy looking wearing a NASCAR official shirt, yes, Red, I called you scruffy looking. Yes, I know.
Don't sit on the pit wall. That's how I met him the first time.
Yes, do not do that on the inside. But some great folks there. So yes, so thank you all for watching and sticking around with us here. Just a few more things to get through. So we mentioned the 500 Sprint Car Tour. Let's kind of look at the points and kind of how this race is kind of a bit of a big deal. We mentioned last week at Salem they got rained out. However, it's interesting to see. We mentioned how good Tyler Rourke has been. Has yet to get into victory lane, though, in the 500 Tour. You see him second place there. Dakota Armstrong has been having a great year so far. Bobby Santos has a win so far. He won at Toledo last month. And the last race, we should have mentioned Kody Swanson, who's sitting fifth, I know, but he actually won the feature race at Winchester at the end of last month, the Tom Bigelow Showdown.
Which could you find a more different track to Berlin than Winchester?
The banking all the way around. The Winchester 400 is one of those premier events, and similar to we have like we here at the Battle, and we have the Money in the Bank. Winchester 400, the Snowball Derby, that's one of those tracks that I have to get out to still. Maybe once the kid gets old enough and loves to put on his earmuffs so he can go and watch loud race cars, I will do that. We're just going to go on a massive tour, like the weeks. I'll let you and Matt run the show up top, and I will just take my kid around and go into racetracks. There are worse ways to spend a life. So like you said, though, still, we're around the halfway mark of the season for them. They don't run as many races as you'll see as our local series here at Berlin. So this is kind of not a tipping point race, but it's a race that nobody who's trying to contend for a championship, Nate, that wants to give up points.
Right, exactly. And it is, you look at some of the other places that they've been to, like we just mentioned. Toledo has some similarities, a little bit flatter-ish track, but you got Anderson, Winchester, Salem, some high banks, some real high banks they've run at. So this is we hear all the time, heard it from Kody, heard it from everyone that's come on this show, how unique that Berlin is as a racetrack. So it also is a race that's kind of completely out of bounds from everything else they've been to, hence why Tyler Rohrig is so good here, because Tyler Rohrig's good here and regardless what he drives.
The only thing I think, he actually has one template win, one super late model win in his career here. He's ran it recently. I remember he ran it one of the premier events before. So it'll be exciting to see if anyone can slow him down, because it seems like when he just gets into a groove with that non-wing, that 56 of his, he is almost impossible to beat. So the battle of the champions, if you will, two-time champion Kody Swanson and 2023 champion Tyler Rourke. We mentioned all as well the Kenyan Midget Series. For some reason, I don't know what it is about the Kenyan Midget Series, if it's the size of the cars or whatnot, they're just fun to watch. They'll be going 20 laps in their feature. We will have the two heat races that they will have on Flow Racing earlier on in the night. Right now, it's looking like it's the championship to lose, if you will, for Dameron Taylor, a three-time champion in that series. He is right now dominating. He has a couple of wins already this year. I believe it's 3 of the first 4, if I'm not mistaken, if I quick do my math here. 3 of the first 5, excuse me. So I was off by 1 race, leading the points right now. And that series has produced a lot of guys that have gone up into the 500 Tour. Some guys have done both before. So it's a fun little series, and I love how they kind of go together. It's the equivalent of, you see like a Cup Series and an Xfinity Series. That's what the Midget Series and the 500 Tour have been doing for the last few years.
Yeah, and, again, if you're a fan of, for example, the MCR Dwarf Series, when they come here, there's a similar nature to what, of course, midget cars are going to bring on a track like Berlin. It's probably your best chance in terms of an open-wheel car to see multiple racing grooves develop, just because the cars are a little bit more flat. Obviously, it's a little bit not saying it's not technical, but when there is, like, to what Kody said, that there's more power than there is grip. Those numbers equalize with the Kenyan Midget Series a little bit more. So there's a little bit more on throttle time, a little bit more speed, maybe a second groove that can develop a little bit as well. So they certainly they put on a great show, as you were mentioning, and it is fun to see them before as a nice little primer to the 500 cars later.
And, of course, like I mentioned, the championship run, Taylor's leading that. Isaac Johnson just 6 points back in that series. So that's another important race for that series in general. And that kind of ties us in, talking about the points, what we got coming up this weekend, the limited late models. That is what we also have going on here at Berlin. We'll touch on the rest of the points here after last weekend, but we got to mention the limited late model series first, because that is the 2 races. We have a double feature for them this coming Saturday. It'll be a double or 25 laps for the first race, 30 as we've seen in the second. Saturday night, not a good night necessarily if you're Josh Fry, at least from the expectations. He had a couple top 10 finishes, but that lead of his in the limited late models has shrunk now to just 7 points in front of Tim Green. And don't look now, Nick DeLompre with win number 2 on the year is sitting third in points, just 13 back. So that is making things very interesting. And DeLompre, yeah, he won the second race on Saturday. Denny Anderson, by the way, the veteran, with his first win of the 2025 season. But Josh Fry looking for the double. I mean, we'll get to the 4-cylinders here, not to me, the sportsmen's here in just a second. It's getting a little bit tougher for him, and I think we put the pressure on him when we brought it up to him that he's trying to chase Bob Seneker's record as the only guy to ever win 2 track championships here at Berlin Raceway. It's gotten a little tough for him, but I think he kind of knows that was going to be the case if he was going to try to run 2 series full time. Yeah,
and just obviously the nature of it, that especially you look at the limited late model division this year at Berlin, there definitely every week there's a mix of 5 to 6 cars that if any of them win, you wouldn't be surprised each week. And you even have a guy like Tim DeVos that struggled with his limited the last couple weeks.
Yep.
He was very strong to start the year, led the points at one point in time early in the year with the number 12 machine. So, yeah, Josh was just a little bit off the pace for whatever reason last week and was kind of struggling back into the pack in unique, really hot conditions. It'll be somewhat similar, a little bit cooler, I think, this week compared to what it was last week, possibly. I haven't seen the weather.
It's looking warm, but it could be muggy again, which we kind of saw on Saturday night a little bit. So we'll see how that goes for sure. Also, maybe mention the mini wedges right now. Cash Tremble, everyone's favorite juniors feature driver right now. He is tearing it up. He's looking like a guy that might have a chance. Jaden Osborne's trying to challenge him for that series championship, the Saturday championship, that is. And Jackson Cook right now is just leading Hudson Lynch by a little bit in the senior. So they got a couple of good points races there. Let's go back to kind of touch back on Saturday's racing. Chase Roloffs. How about that? Yeah, you see that right, folks. That's not a typo. We didn't actually forget Justin's name. Chase Roloffs, double feature winner on Saturday night, matching what his brother's done twice already this season. He mentioned it in his post-race interviews in Victory Lane. That's kind of big for him because he's always been kind of looked at as the one like, all right, Justin's the number one, and Chase is, he only started racing, I think, maybe 5 or so years ago. I could be wrong off the top of my head, but I remember when he literally looked like he had just electrical tape painted on the side of his door. He didn't have the nice wrap that his brother has. And now here's Chase winning races the same way, and maybe not quite trying to beat his brother out for the championship. Justin's got a huge lead right now in that series, but good to see Chase have a really big night in general.
Well, it's fascinating too in the 4-cylinders when you think about it is you've had sweeps of the night exclusively going back, I think, to Memorial Day weekend.
Yep.
Because you had, Justin Roloff's got one in there. The 7 car with Dave Simpson got one. There was a single feature night as well. So for whatever reason, for the last month and a half, if you've won the first race, you've also won the second race in a 4-cylinder.
And it's been tough, too, because, I know the fields aren't, 30 cars deep, but still, there's some really good cars that these guys have had to get through. Because when you win a race, you don't just, I'm going to start on the pole again. You're going to start 9th or 10th or 11th. So it's certainly not easy for sure. Right now, Roloffs has a 113-point lead on his brother Chase, so looking very much like Alex Palou is Justin Roloffs. I can't say that anymore about the Formula One. That used to be a Formula One joke. Max Verstappen's up by 200 points. But that's actually a fun series to watch this season. Looking back Friday night, exciting race for the super late models. Austin Hall getting his second win of the season, kind of padding his lead a little bit. He's up 41 points on one Bryant Campbell, and that's a huge win for Hall. Good to see him kind of get back into victory lane, and he's right now at Owasso tonight racing in their big late model event, which has a guy named Kevin Harvick running in it. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him. But Hall's having a great year, and he's really making it tough on Campbell to keep up.
Yeah, I think Hall and that team, they definitely found something before the year. I think they came in pretty confident in some things that they had maybe found kind of matching maybe some of their other kind of Van Dorn pseudo teammates that you see up and down pit road being so strong here. And obviously he won the icebreaker. They had good pace in a lot of the other races. A couple things maybe didn't break their way. Obviously, the final full 75 lapper of the year, he would have won that race if we had a comp yellow in the middle because he was that much faster. So that really is back-to-back weeks after. I think he had an issue one of the weeks in there. I think the ARCA week, they had a DNF or finished a little bit further back of the pack. But after that, Hall has been the car to beat for the last two races. And, I mean, you want to talk about a guy that if he can carry that momentum in the next month, I think he's got as good of a chance of any of the local Berlin guys have taken the 250.
Weird story about that. We also forgot to mention that was the first time we had a competition caution come out this season, 35 laps, and it sounds like that's going to be the case for the rest of the season. So
we actually didn't have the competition caution. They took care of it themselves.
It was, well, as the caution was about to come out, Scheid and Racing got together and gave us one of the best pictures.
What a photo. I wish Andrew was here tonight because if they were running the mini wedges, I need to talk to him about that.
We don't need to tell you what is in the photo, but if you go on Facebook, and I'm pretty sure you find Andrew Scheid, there's a picture of the incident between him and Tyler Reisinger this weekend. It was a golden picture. Super Late's off this weekend, though, but they'll be back for the next 2 Saturdays after that, gearing up for a really, really big night for them for the Battle at Berlin. So this is going to, I think we'll start to see a couple of travelers coming out here to kind of cue themselves up for the really big night. Huge payday, $40,000 for 250 laps. It's going to be an exciting night coming up next month. The last series we forgot to mention, the Baker Auto Group Sportsman Series, Nate. That's the other one Fry's leading. Fry did okay. He's finished 6th and 5th on Saturday night. On Friday night in the Sportsman Series. That was won by Brian Tomey and Kevin Ford, guys that were battling for the championship 2 years ago. He's got about a 40-plus point lead on Ryan Holtzlander. Holtzlander, who did pick up a big win last time out for him or earlier on this season.
He needed that.
Yes, he did. You talk about a guy that's ran well and has a really fast car, finally getting into victory lane. That's big for Holtzlander, the defending track champion. But Fry's doing well there. And it almost seems like Fry doesn't need to pay so much attention to the Sportsman Series, but I say that knowing how good that series is, and that can quickly change on a dime. But it seems like right now, for Fry's sake, it's focusing on the limited and trying to get that finally tuned in. Because even though Tim Green has ran a couple less features than Josh Fry has, Green's consistency when he is in the race, that's what's kind of kept him close and right nipping on the heels of the 97 car.
Yeah, I mean, it is so razor thin because even you go beyond DeLongpre, 4th and 5th in limiteds are pretty darn close as well within, probably striking distance within a race or definitely 2 races in a double feature night. So that is our most exciting championship by far at the moment. The super late models are going to continue to change. I mean, it was dead tied. Austin Hall, Brian Campbell last time. Now Hall took a 40-point lead. So that can shift quite a bit within a single night. But the limited late models, of course, they are running again this weekend. And that top 3 and maybe even the top 4 could be completely turned on its head by the time we talk to you next week.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend and a huge weekend, though. Of course, you mentioned the 500 Sprint Car Tour, limited late models as well. Big night, of course. It is the Faith and Family Night coming up here this Saturday night at Berlin Raceway. Bring a non-perishable item and to donate, and you get a free hot dog and a fry coupon. So that sounds like fun. Do you think we can get one of those if I bring in like a can of something? Or
might as well try.
I may as well. I mean, a hot dog and a free hot dog and a fry, my goodness. In today's economy, I will take that. First 75 kids to the gate will get an Honor Credit Union flag. So they have something to wave up there in the stands. We also have Boys Gone Mild live on the Electric Innovation stage after the races. I mean, self-deprecation is the sincerest form of comedy, but I don't know if I'd be putting that on a marquee. But you know what? Boys Gone Mild, maybe they'll go wild on Saturday night. Always remember, folks, kids free, 15 and under at Berlin Raceway all season long. And of course, one last thing we forgot to mention here before we go end this episode of Trackside Live. Be sure when you come out to the track to find a way. You go right over where you're in the left turn lounge, just to the right of it. There is a QR code where you can scan and get yourself in the running to win a couple of cool, awesome items. We're giving away a mini wedge, a $7,500 mini wedge. Someone who wants to get into racing, they can do it, and they can have a chance to win that. We got an ATV over here and a dirt bike, 125cc dirt bike here. So lots of cool stuff we're going to give away at the end of the season. Oh, and Jeff Striegel's golf cart.
That's right.
We're giving that away. We're going to make him sign it, maybe plaster his face on the top of the hood of it just for fun and stuff like that. So all sorts of things you can win here this season. And you're not just coming to watch great racing, but you're also coming to watch and also have a chance to participate yourself a little bit. Hello. We have a couple of people chiming in. Can we please talk to Taylor Ferns? Please ask Jamie Reeves. Jamie, we are going to do that on Saturday night because Taylor Ferns, one of the two Michigan natives, will be having running the 500 sprint car tool. We'll be sure to talk to them.
Shout out Grand Valley State. Taylor Ferns and myself, two of our most premier graduates of that institution.
Who's won the Anchor Bone the last few years? Is that FERRIS State Bulldogs, the two-time defending national champion?
Half their team's ineligible.
Well, that just sounds like a salty Laker.
Yeah, it is.
All these fresh waters around here, and y'all just be salty like the ocean because you guys can't beat the Bulldogs, who used to beat by 100 back in the day. But I don't talk about that anymore. Got to remember the good times. RID3, can you replay Jeff's interview with JB Saturday night? Would not be able to hear in the stands. Unfortunately, RA, we were not able to get a hold of Johnny Benson ourselves. We had him on Trackside Live last week. We weren't able to get him on the broadcast. I know Jeff was talking to him over the public address. Unfortunately, we do not have the recording of that. But I think we might be able to get JB around. I think he might want to come out a couple more times. He might have some free time coming up here, so maybe we'll have him join us in the broadcast. Hey, we got Dave Moody to come on the broadcast. I think we can get Johnny Benson to come on. I mean, let's see. Well, according to some people in the higher-ups, we can get some pretty big names on this show. We might try to do that here. But, yeah, so we will definitely talk Jamie to Taylor Ferns this weekend for sure. Nate Dreyer will be on that one. I mean, you never know. We'll see who we can get. Who pops up at Berlin Raceway. That means you have to come out or watch us live on Flow Racing every week. And, I think if you guys want it, I don't know how many of those diehard fans we have, Nate, but if you have
grandparents.
If you have a race scanner, bring it to the track. You might be able to tap into one of the drivers that's racing every weekend, but also you can listen to us live on the air and hear what we talk about off air and stuff like that, similar to what you do at a NASCAR track. So I think we can throw the scanner out there. It's 488.9. 488.9. It's not like, unfortunately, when you go get the race electronics at the NASCAR races, it's already preset. You actually have to program it yourselves, which I figured out is very difficult to do. But you can always do that. So, Nate, we got a lot of great stuff this weekend, but the question of the day.
Oh, that's right.
We have to answer ourselves. First racetrack you ever went to. I'll get mine out of the way. It's an easy one. I grew up 10 minutes that way. This track right here, Berlin Raceway. I'm 99% sure I came as I was born in February 95, so probably in June of 95 I was out here with headphones. But then again, there's sometimes my wife calls me deaf, so maybe my parents weren't that responsible. But it's okay. I'm here now and alive, and I sometimes listen to Nate. Nate, what about you?
I was trying to think about that. I would imagine, so I came more from sports car racing. My family ran Dodge Vipers and the Viper Racing League and stuff a lot as well. I would imagine it would be Gingerman in South Haven. Yeah. I know I was at Road America when I was young, but I would have to imagine. I have to ask my parents. I would have to imagine it would be Gingerman.
I have to self-check that track out. I worked for South Haven High School Athletics for a season, and some reason, of course, granted that you're working in the fall and winter, so there's no racing going on during that time. But I certainly got to pop my way down there. Jamie says, I met Taylor Ferns 3 years ago in Nashville at the Fairground Speedway. She is so nice. So apparently we have to talk to her now because she's so nice. And we know that. We see her all the time every year. The 500 Tour non-wing sprints come out, so we will definitely have to chat with her then. But wrapping up here, Nate. Great night of racing coming up. Lots of great action coming up here at Berlin Raceway. Lots of good action. We have some, knock on wood, some good weather coming up here. It was 90 degrees on my way here today, and I was questioning. Okay, we have to address this now. Nate Dreyer, you can't see it. People remember how much flack I gave Andrew Scheid on the show a couple weeks ago for showing up in jeans when we were going with that terrible heat wave and terrible drought. Yep. Nate Dreyer wears pants every week. And he's gotten Ryan Pilon to wear pants every week. Nate, explain how you don't die down on pit road when it's 150 degrees.
Just built different.
Is that Grand Valley different? That Holland different?
I don't know. That's everyone else has pants on. It's just what you wear in the pits. That's what I've learned. That's what I do.
Even when I was the pit road reporter here for so many years, I think I honestly, in all the years I've been coming to this track, I can probably count on my two hands how many times I've actually worn pants with full. Like I think 3 times was this season. We had that real cold spell early on. I don't know. I can't. I'm wearing flip flops right now because my I get really warm really fast.
Listen,
so.
Roger Penske might show up. I need to have black pants on in case Roger Penske shows up. Jeff Striegel likes the black pants and the black shirts and the clean look too, so it all works out.
That's true. Granted, when they're on flow racing, I could be anchor man. They never shoot us from below the belt, so for all we know, might scare Matt McKenzie if I showed up like that. But regardless, that is it, folks, for this week of Trackside Live. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Thanks once again to Kody Swanson for chiming in and talking about the 500 Sprint Car Tour. And like we said, folks, if you missed that interview, if you missed any part of the show today, do not worry. We'll be on demand on YouTube, hopefully by tomorrow, as Nate Dreyer likes to say. So you'll be able to watch it. You can watch the interview Nate had last week with Johnny Benson. Week before that, we had Andrew Scheid and Steve Needles on. And the first one we actually recorded was just us talking, so you may want to avoid that one as much as possible.
I would.
But you know what? We did fine. We made it through. I think we can both agree in our podcasting days we've been through worse.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I've done podcasts by myself, and we're already losing viewership as
I know,
it is.
right? We're just going now.
We're going now. We're going to go to the
It's
end
a
of this.
24-hour live stream. We're just not going off there. We're live streaming until the race starts.
We're
Saturday.
waiting for we're waiting for like the hard Twitch streamers that are desperate. They just go on Facebook Live looking for things. That's how late we're going to go tonight. No,
That's what we should do for the 250s. We should just go on the air Tuesday night after practice and then just broadcast
do like an
all the way.
Amazon Prime broadcast.
Yeah,
just go
all the way
entire
through.
day.
Yeah.
I don't know if Jeff Striegel has the budget for that, but we'll make it work. Trackside Live, folks, thanks again. We'll be back next Wednesday for more Trackside Live action, getting ready for more great super late model action. And Saturday night, 500 Sprint Car Tour, Kenya Midget Series, limited late models, and mini wedges at Berlin. Green flag will drop around 6:30. Qualifying, beginning at 6:30 for the sprint cars. We'll be going live on Flow Racing at 6 o'clock. Until then, for Nate Dreyer, I'm Tyler Kuehl, saying thank you all once again for watching this edition of Trackside Live.